Welcome, everyone. I remember when I got to that place in my business where I realized what was working then is no longer going to work now. I was so frustrated, to say the least, that I kept spraying the wall with all these different marketing tactics when what I really needed was to delve into what was really going to work and expand on those. Today, I really want to walk through a few strategies that you can start implementing today that will help you start to reach that next stage within your growth. I want to note on this. There will come a time when delegating gets to be sort of a routine of sorts. You start to feel more comfortable telling people what to do more so than learning how to lead. First off, let me explain. As you really start to hire more trainers, maybe moving them to W-2, hiring agencies or marketers to come in, which I really wouldn't recommend until you're pretty big, possible sales reps, you will be the one that has to train them in all your SOPs, your practices, and you will need to be the one that starts putting these things into place. But there will eventually be a better way. Hiring managers to manage the trainers and the doers of your gym will be the best way you can start freeing up more time to start putting yourself in a spot to focus on higher level things. This really starts to come down to your mindset around much more impactful solutions or strategies that make a larger impact than just doing the work. So we're going to jump in today and talk about a few strategies that you can utilize to build better efficiency and bottom line revenue. We're going to go into your perfect audience. When is the right time that you need to start thinking of the types of members you bring in, the types of people you want it associated with your gym, experiences when it comes to your marketing that. And lastly, bringing on new services. Will this be your downfall to bringing on too many products too soon? Your group classes, types of workouts, etc. One of my biggest frustrations when going into a new gym environment is the type of people that are working out alongside of. This usually comes in the form of somebody sitting on a bench with an overpacked gym just twiddling away on their phone. Now, not all gyms are like this. You can't control everyone, but as an owner, you may not think about these issues. But as a member, a consumer, these are the small things that could cause you to have low retention rate to a more high, more focused retention rate. How do you combat these types of issues? Well, to start off, we'll need to start working on your ideal audience. So, ideal audience. What does that really mean? Well, this could come into the form of your, like I said, target audience, customer profiles, archetypes, but it's really the process of starting to narrow down the types of people within the area of your gym or multiple gyms that you have around you. This comes in the form of demographics, for instance. What is the basic information of the members you're bringing in the gym? Now, from a demo perspective, it could be anything from an age range. Maybe you're focusing on 16-year-old to 25-year-olds. Maybe you're focusing on 35, 45-year-olds. Could be gender. Maybe you're focusing on males compared to females. Maybe you're focusing on a type of male or a type of female. There's a plethora of different ways that you can start combining the different demographics based off of your area. Now, the reason I'm bringing up your area quite a bit here is because you're going to have different perspectives of demographics based off of the area you're in. And of course, you could be anywhere around the country or the world here. So I can't necessarily say which demo fits best for you, but going back to my original statement in the process of this video, you're really going to need to start building that strategy. Sit down and start to think about these types of information. Writing this stuff down is part of the strategy. Getting to understand who the types of people that you really want to focus on won't just help you market to them better, but it will help with how you communicate to them as well. Secondly, there's also the psychological counterpart of the demo, right? You have the psychological traits of each person. And this can be anything from a basic personality. Maybe they like a certain type of sport. Maybe they like just running. Maybe they like working on their mental health, or maybe they're very big in their nutrition. And these psychological counterparts of the demo work alongside to make sure that you're starting to market market to these types of individuals. Now, psychological counterpart's going to be a lot harder for you to nail down compared to the demographic side, right? Because every single human being on this planet is different. You have traumatic experiences, you have drama, you have location, poverty, other different things that could cause a psychological differentiation between the people that you're trying to demo to. But you have to keep this in mind when you're starting to build out your location and the possible expansion of your location. It's very easy to sit down and look at the overall numbers here and for you to say, hey, I'm going to focus on a much more rich city in this area. But what happens if for some reason you build a masculine style gym where you only focus on heavy lifting and it's a female dominated rich area, for instance? So all I'm saying here is you really need to focus on the demos and the psychological. Kind of sit down, create 2 to 3 profiles that you really feel that are good types of audience members that you can really work with here. And start using that as the beginning part of your vision and your roadmap to start deciding on which ways that you could market to these people, what will make them stay longer, what type of services you have, etc. It's a good exercise to push along with your leaders and the other people in your organization so that everyone's kind of on the same page in this regard. In regards to this, do you have a type of member who you utilize most at your gym? Or do you really not know? Leave a comment down below in the comment box. Now, before we move forward with the next section of this video, I'm not sure if you know this, but we recently released an audio webinar, really a private podcast of sorts, where you as leaders in the gym space can look to build a sustainable lead flow in just 5 minutes a day. And this 3-series episode will take about 3 15-minute segments, and we'll go through how you can start taking your existing audience or where you're at in your stage of gym ownership, and you can start building that sustainable lead flow. Again, I'll leave that link down in the comments, and you can really just listen to this on the way to work or in your office or maybe possibly while you're working out. So I'd appreciate that. Head over there now at leavethatmark.com. Now, the next segment of this video, let's talk about experiences. We're really going to focus on how you can build strategies around experiences involved within the marketing side. And when it comes to experiences, we have dived into the branding side, which you can kind of understand a little bit by checking out this video here above on the core branding pillars. But I want to go a little bit different here, and I want to talk about the experiences you provide for marketing. The synergy between marketing and branding are vast, but in regards to what you are doing as a local gym owner, even if you have 5, 6 locations or even a franchise leadership in the franchise space and you have 50 locations, you have to look at those locations as separate identities and separate audiences. But there's going to be one thing that's going to separate you from the other gyms in the area, and that's going to be how you are marketing yourself. When we go back to these experiences, you have to think about your audience, and you have to start thinking about, where are my audiences going to find me? Where are they going to be able to find the most information on? Now, marketing in general is how audiences will find you. You can think about social media. You can think about Instagram, Facebook. A lot of local businesses do billboards. But when you start thinking about your audience, you have to start thinking about the types of mediums that those types of audiences look at. And if you want to go from a very basic level here, you want to start thinking about how more likely they're going to find you. I'm going to use the premise of a billboard right now compared to Google search, compared to, let's just say, Facebook advertisement. Now, Facebook advertisement, that's your tool. Google, that's your tool. It's not your marketing strategy, it's your tool. The billboard is your tool. The graphic design on that could be part of the strategy, but that is also a tool. You want to start thinking about, what is my strategy for getting more people in? Let's look at the billboard, for instance. A billboard is going to be set on the side of the street. You really want to focus on, all right, if my type of audience is this type of person, let's say a 35 to 45-year-old woman, what is the strategy we're going to do to get to this person, right? How are we going to get noticed? Now, the strategy would take fold in the way you do that marketing strategy, not just the messaging, which we can get to a little bit later, but that experience that you're providing to them. Maybe you go around and you work with health-related companies in the area. Maybe you partner with yoga studios if you're a gym, or you work with a gym if you're, a yoga studio. But you find areas that these people also hang out in, which also would be considered a tool. If you focus on health restaurants, for instance, maybe you can focus on providing some sort of, hey, half-month discount for free if you buy a salad from this location. But when it comes to the billboard side, you could strategically put this billboard on a corner provided by where you feel like more healthy joints hang out. And what that's going to do is that's going to be your strategy in helping you to reach the right audience utilizing a billboard, for instance. So instead of just blindly going out there and saying, hey, I'm going to use a tool, think about that from a strategy perspective. You have your audience. You can now go out and you can deal with that experience. I'm not going to go too much deeper into Google right now and or Facebook ads, but I could say that Facebook ads are probably in the middle there. You're probably going to be focusing on 35 to 45-year-old people, maybe even upwards 45 at this point. So that would really hit the demo of that clientele, because that is the tool that they are probably utilizing more to communicate with family, communicate with friends of that age range. But it's kind of the middle ground of a billboard, right? It's in your face, but it's also not completely targeted. So you'll probably want to focus on targeting around very similar to the billboard. What kinds of things are they searching up? What is the kind of the audience? What are they focusing on? And you need to focus that tool around the messaging you're doing. So you would focus all of your experiences around that type of audience and that type of messaging. Now, Google may be a little bit different. A lot of people still use Google to use maps, things of that nature. I'll say this, age ranges over 45 to 50, probably not utilizing the Google search platform. It's basically like Yellow Pages. A lot of them these days still use MapQuest and print out the map, drive around with it. So I'm not saying they all do that, but you have to start thinking about that kind of stuff when you're thinking about the experiences and the strategy that you are providing. So when it comes to your experiences, think about that from a strategic perspective, not the tool itself. And this is how you can start shifting that mindset towards focusing on much more productive, impactful situations. Now, I know earlier I talked a lot about the video, which again, I'll link up above here, about the branding pillars that you can take a look at. But for today's video, I really wanted to focus on that synergy of those branding practices and how they affect your marketing strategy overall. Your audience, your vision, your messaging, all of these will really affect your offers. Certain types of people will be more affected to offers that relate to them. Of course, you may have thought about this, your pricing model, the experiences you provide, how you're marketing to them is going to dictate the types of pricing models that you can do. If you're using on a less targeted situation like a billboard without putting it into a more targeted area, you're probably going to have a lower price point because you're hitting a lot more people and you're focusing on the abundance, $20 a month membership type of scenario. Where if you're hitting a much more larger demo, you're probably going to bring less people in but sell more. So you're going to focus on a pricing model that's probably a little bit higher compared to your area. Now, I talked a little bit about this earlier. Your tools are not your marketing strategy. They're your tools. So you really want to think about the ways that you're marketing people. For instance, if you're spraying the wall and you're trying to call everyone in your local area, that's not going to really build good brand presence, good brand awareness. It could work on some perspectives. Hence why I said earlier, sales reps, you don't really need them in this industry. I'll be honest with you. You should be really focusing on targeting the right people, giving them the right message so that you have a much higher conversion rate and they feel part of your location. Now, before we go any further on this, I'd love for you to tackle that subscribe button, give us a like to this video. It really does help out the channel. Before we close this video out, I know I talked a little bit about services, products, and a little bit about that, but kind of want to go a little bit deeper in that with you on our next video. But when it comes to your gym, your overall goal should be to find those small things that can make the largest impact. We talked a lot about audience and we talked a lot about marketing experiences today. And in our next video, we will go over some of those techniques you can start utilizing today to start building some of that additional presence. And that's where we'll kind of dive a little bit more into those products and services on a much deeper level. Again, if you want to learn more about some of those pillars I was talking about within branding, then take advantage of it. watch this video over here. Or why don't you check out our podcast where we're going to start diving into leaders in the gym space to help you understand the importance of different things that you can do as you progress in your gym stage by hitting that button down below. And again, why don't you subscribe? Tackle it. Just go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It really helps out the channel as we're trying to dive a little bit more into helping leaders in the gym space. Again, I'm Zach. You all have a good one.